guys, it's Becky with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to be here and give you a great project idea that is so super simple and easy. Anybody can follow along. So whether you're a beginner or advanced, you're going to want to stick around for this. So what we have here is permanent adhesive, black glossy vinyl. We also have some transfer tape. You need some sort of squeegee. You also need a weeding tool. My favorite is fine point tweezers. And if you have it, some sort of tape. I have painter's tape. You can use masking tape. Probably electrical tape will work. Something that's going to help us work with our design. And for the big reveal, this is what we're working with. I scored this locally at a dollar themed store for $5. So for $5, a couple dollars on supplies, and you have a great project either for yourself, but this makes a great gift idea too. So you can do this for newlyweds, anniversaries, housewarming gifts, anything. It goes great with Farmhouse Decor, but it won't look out of place with any type of home style either. So stick around. This is definitely something you're going to want to join us for.
Welcome to Cricut Design Space. So to begin with, this will be your home screen, and these will be projects that you have saved going forward. And here you have Cricut Access and some ready-to-make projects. But what we're going to do now is we are just going to start a new project. This is your canvas. So for today's project, we are going to go to Upload. Now the design that we are using is from designbundles.net. So let me go ahead and show you where that can be found. Here we are on designbundles.net. Now this is a file that you can come and purchase. Our life, our story, our home, this is us. And you can use this file for whatever project you have in mind. Today we're using it for the metal tray. And always check and make sure whatever formats these are coming in, that is going to be compatible. Now with Cricut Design Space, we're looking for that SVG format, so we are good to go. Now that I have purchased that design in Design Bundles, I simply need to upload it. So I will click Upload down here at the bottom. This brings me to the Upload menu, and you can tell I have already done this one, but I'm going to click Upload Image right here, and I can go to Browse, and this is the folder from my downloads, and I will simply select, this one is the SVG file, and I will hit Open. Okay, this gives me a preview of what it's going to look like. If I wanted to, I could put in tags. They are recommended so that your designs will be searchable in the future, but because I already have this uploaded, I am not going to do that today. Now from this screen, I can simply click on my design. You can actually click on more than one design. I don't need to, just going to select my one, and I can hit Insert Images at the bottom right. So this imports the design, and you will notice it's only importing at 3.963 inches wide. Now I personally measured the tray that we are using, and I need this design to be roughly 9.5 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I can simply double click up here. Notice I already have the blue box that lets me know my design is selected. I can double click and I can simply type in my keyboard 9.5 and hit the return key, and it will make my design bigger. I can zoom out right here to be able to see the whole thing. Now it's also important to notate, let me show you what happens if I click over to make it. Do you see how it broke up my design? That is definitely not what I want. Okay, so I will hit cancel. And what you need to do is click on your design, and down here in the bottom right hand side is the attach icon. Simply click attach, and that will tell Design Space that you want to keep this design together. So now when I hit make it at the top, my design is complete. Okay, now at this point, if I wanted to, I could move this around. I don't need to because I am using a 12 by 12 piece of adhesive vinyl and my material size is 12 by 12. I also do not need to mirror it because I'm using adhesive vinyl, so I will simply leave it the way that it is. Down here at the bottom right, I will choose continue. It is locating my Cricut Maker. Now these settings will be similar if you're working on a Cricut Explorer Air or Air 2. You simply have a dial where you will select vinyl, or you can come in and select it in the software. For the Maker, we do have to select it in the software, but luckily it's one of our favorites. Should be set right here in your top menu. I simply click vinyl and my pressure will be set to default. Now if you are cutting and you notice that you are cutting through the backing, you can select less. And then if you notice that you are not cutting deep enough and your design is very hard to weed, you can select more. But for us, the default setting works well. Okay, at this point, I will walk over to my Cricut and load my mat and proceed to cut my design.
Now, when it's time to load your machine, it is really super easy, and I'm excited to show you just how easy it is. Turn on the power button, of course. That's like a good foundation for beginning every project because you can't really get anywhere without it, right? Next, we have a cutting mat, and this is our sheet of adhesive vinyl. And I am simply going to line up the top of my adhesive vinyl with the cutting mat grid. Now, this one in particular is a fabric cutting mat. See where it says fabric grip at the top? That is not what I use it for, only because I wore down a lot of the sticky on there. So don't feel like you are limited to using, this specific standard mat, because, you can use any mat as long as it has enough stick to keep your product on there and not too much stick that it's going to rip it when it comes off. You'll be able to judge that more as your experience level goes on. So I have two guides right here on each side, and I just want to butt my mat up against these black rollers. Now I can hit the load, okay, and once Design Space is ready for me to cut and everything is set up the way it needs to be, I will simply click the flashing Cricut button and it will go to town. So let's let this do its thing and we will come back and take a look at it. Okay, great. So our machine is finished cutting. I am once again using the Cricut Maker. Okay. Unload the mat and you will see that my vinyl is adhered a 12 by 12 sheet, right? So what I want to do is go ahead and remove this from the cutting mat. After that's finished, and this depends on your comfort level, but I like to trim around my design to make sure that I save all of my little scraps. Those are really useful when you start working on smaller projects such as earrings or little phone grips, anything like that that you might need just a little bit. What you can do is hold it to the light. And of course, I know that this is a circular design. And I just do want to give it a little bit of a border. I don't want to trim right up next to the vinyl, or I might accidentally cut a piece of the design off. So now I can set that to the side to use it later. And because we're placing it on a circular tray, I'm going to trim this side too. But this is probably not a scrap that I would keep. Okay, so this is what we're working with, and I am going to switch over so that you guys can see just how we go about the weeding process. Alrighty, so here we go. And remember, I'm using weeding tweezers. Any weeding tool will work, but these just seem to work really good for me. And I'm going to start by choosing any side, because I know my design doesn't go all the way to the side, and I'm just going to pierce right underneath the vinyl so that I can pull it up. Okay, now with that being started, I can set my tweezers down, because as long as you've gotten a good cut with your machine, this should peel pretty easy.
Now, it can be a little overwhelming for your first time pulling off one big piece of vinyl. You don't want to let it touch down on the other parts of the design, because then you could lose some of the special pieces, or really just pull up your design altogether. All right, now we're not going to save this. This is discarded. And this is why I love the tweezers, because now I can come back in and I can weed out all the little pieces of this design. So now we're going to apply our transfer tape. Now this is the transfer tape that I use. I like it because it has the transparent backing, but not everybody is a fan of the backing, so just something to keep in mind when you're choosing a transfer tape. I also want to trim this down. I do not need the full amount of transfer tape, so I can either use an X-Acto knife or I can trim this with my scissors. It's completely up to you. All right, so we have our transfer tape, and now we are going to go ahead and apply it to our design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to pierce this transfer tape just like I would with my adhesive vinyl. It just helps me get it started and to remove the backing from the clear transfer tape. There we go. And then what I can do, once I get it started, is I can go ahead and line it up with my design, just like I had it when I trimmed it, and put it down. And then when I peel this side off, it lines up perfectly. Toss that. And now I need our squeegee. I'm just going to go through and burnish this design really well. I don't want to lose any of my pieces. After applying the transfer tape, I like to go ahead and make sure that my design is adhered fully. So what I'll do is I'll choose a side, and I will go ahead and start pulling that back. Okay. Now, if part of your design does not come up with the transfer tape, that is completely fine. You can lay the transfer tape back down and burnish it again. And I just want to check the other side. Okay, so everything looks in order. So now we're going to go ahead and get back to our project. Now that we have our project here, I want to show you how you're going to line up the positioning of this decal. So what we're going to do is grab our painter's tape, and I can go ahead and line this up anywhere inside this that I want to. Now I do have to keep in mind that I have the handles, so I do want to watch where my line is across the top and just try to get it as straight as I can. If it's not super straight, don't stress too much about it. Okay, then I will take 2 pieces, 1, and 2. And what I'm going to do with these, I do this just a tad different. When people usually refer to the hinge method, they take one big piece and they strap it right along across the middle. That is not what we're going to do today. The reason I use 2 pieces is I just like to make sure, with this being a rounded surface, usually I would put 1 on each corner, but I just want to make sure that I get a good seal along the top. Now I say the top, it could be the top, it could be the sides,
anything that you want to do, okay? Make sure you also have your scissors handy. And I am going to peel this back, and then I will take my scissors, and I just want to cut off any piece of this backing. It doesn't matter if it's the side, the bottom, it is all the same for what we need. And I will smooth this back down into place. And make sure that it sticks. Okay, now I can remove my painter's tape. If I want to, I can re-secure it. I can add some to this side if I want to. The painter's tape is there just to make sure that you don't accidentally move your design. Okay, so then when I peel this side, and you just want to watch, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm going to pull this backing, and because I already checked to make sure that my design was stuck to my transfer tape, I should be safe to peel this back and put it right straight down onto my tray. Okay, now I have it smoothed down into place. I didn't feel any major ripples. I can go ahead and squeegee it. Just try to make sure that you don't have those air bubbles underneath your adhesive vinyl. Okay, and of course, I can take the tape off. Now, time for the big reveal, because obviously your transfer tape is not going to stay on there. Find the edge, and when you peel, whoops, see how that tried to come up? You do want to make sure, you want to watch it, and peel slow if you can. Let me put this down. Well, actually get my scraper. There we go. And I like to pull it back instead of out. And I just let it roll. There's something about that side that does not like that vinyl. All right, so just let it roll back, keep pulling it. Watch all your pieces, make sure that all your pieces stay down. Not my E, there we go. So, like I said, you can always lay it back down, burnish it some more. We do not want to miss anything. And sometimes trying a different angle will help too. Now this is permanent adhesive vinyl, so it is good for any type of hard, smooth, non-porous surface. You can use it for car decals, you can use it for tumblers. You do not want to use it for your walls in your house unless you are absolutely sure that you're going to paint afterwards. And there we go. That is our big reveal. So everything is stuck down. I can run my hands over it.
Now let's see what we do with the final project.
So tell me how easy that adhesive vinyl project was. Am I right? Okay, so once you get used to working with adhesive vinyl, you will literally go through and vinyl everything in the house. Nothing is safe. I've seen people vinyl their washers and dryers. You'll be doing signs next all over your house. You'll have special little decals for your kitchen appliances, and it just kind of goes crazy from there. So let me show you the finished project because I'm really excited. And of course I had to be a little bit extra, and I added a burlap bow that I'm really digging to add to that farmhouse look. So there we go. So all I did was I added some burlap ribbon, and I simply hot glued that bad boy on there. And what I like about it is, even though it's a little bit, touchy, I don't want to get super crazy with it, but if I decide that I no longer want the burlap ribbon, because this is metal, I'll be able to peel it right off. So feel free to experiment with the burlap. It's not a long-term commitment, and just kind of see how you feel about it. So hopefully you enjoyed today's project, And I definitely encourage you to make sure you get those machines out of the box and just use them, use them, use them, because there's just no way you can go wrong with that. All right, thanks again. I really appreciate you watching, and hopefully we brought you some inspiration today.